Ramana Maharishi, his journey was different. We cannot imitate that journey. If I sit down, who am I? What he meant was, if I am not the body and if I am also not the mind, then what am I? This is what he meant. And for him it was an actual experience. And that too at the age of 15, how many people can think I am not the body at 15? So I'm just contrasting between two kinds of great spiritual beings. Ramana Maharishi on one side, Ramakrishna Paramaham, Vivekananda in the middle, Guru Nanak. What do you think? Do you know that there is a place near, you have to go about 2-3 hours from Jalandhar into the Punjab. I forget the name, there is a Gurudwara also there, very old, small Gurudwara, where Guru Nanak spent his years doing tapasya there. It's a small room. He also was employed by the then ruler, the Nawab, as a storekeeper. So he used to stay there, and his job every day was to measure grain and give it to people. Those days, rulers gave to others, not swallowed for themselves. So he used to sit there and measure rye or wheat, probably in Punjab, and give to them. So one day he was such a saintly soul, and he was so absorbed in his inner being that he was measuring wheat and giving. So it was okay till it came to 12. After the 12th measure came the 13th measure. He got stuck there. Because in Hindi and Punjabi and so on, what is the word used for 13? Tera. So he gave one tera. Then he said, Mera to kuch nahi hai, tera. So the whole thing was finished. The storeroom became tera, tera, tera. It didn't move from tera to 14. The Nawab was informed, something is going on with this man of yours. So the Nawab came and said, hey, hold on, what are you doing? He said, is this yours? So what I mean to say is, so there is a place there where, and then one day he went into the river. For many days he was not visible. Then he came out from the other side of the river and he said, all human beings are one. The divine is in everybody's heart. I don't know the exact granth in what this thing is. So we cannot imitate. This is what I'm trying to say. We have to go according to our situations. Otherwise what happens? We overreach and try to do and then fall back full speed to square one. If I tell somebody that once upon a time when I was a young man with Maheshwarnath Babaji, I meditated and did Kriya for 10 hours a day, some people get so enthusiastic and they start trying to practice 10 hours a day. Is this possible? I mean, is that easy? Then it falls down. Finally they give up. No Kriya. 10 hours to no Kriya. So we should start where we are and according to our capacities and then move forward. The Sufis have a saying, each according to his capacity, each according to his means. Slowly. So, now I want to tell you, since we are going to do Kriya, and since we need to know where we are going, what is it that we are seeking. I'm also going to deal with a little bit of Upanishad and Gita in today's satsang. Now we discussed Ramana Maharishi, right? During his lifetime, there was a great saint, poet, Sri Vidya practitioner. Sorry I said that word. Sometimes when I come off the aeroplane, somebody, can you teach me Sri Vidya? It's not a joke anyway. So, He was a great Sri Vidya practitioner and a great poet, also a freedom struggle man before he was in the his name was Ganapathy Muni from Tamil Nadu. In fact, he was given the title Kavyakanta, which means jewel of poets. And he had read everything that is we know as Shastras, from Vedas to Upanishads to Sankhya to Sri Vidya, he knew everything. But with all this, he felt that there was some barrier to truth. What he was aiming at was to understand the absolute truth, the supreme reality, which the good news is it's all, everybody possesses it, not only with me or you. So he was working on it. So he met too many people. So what is this barrier that is stopping me? He didn't realize the barrier was his knowledge. Too much. Anyway, he then came to Tiruvannamalai. Ramana Maharishi was not known as Ramana Maharishi then. He was the man who coined that word, Ramana Maharishi. He said there is a young man sitting in the Skandashrama cave. He said, who is he? They said, he came from Madurai somewhere. His name was Venkatramana, so we don't know. He sits in meditation most of the time, they said. So he went up. When he went up, Ramana was sitting in front of the cave with his eyes open. Have you seen any picture of Ramana Maharishi with eyes closed? I have not seen. Nobody has seen. It's always open. Because there is no in and there is no out. All is one. Right? In the beginning, of course, we have to shut our eyes. Too much distraction. He didn't need it, of course. So he sat with his eyes open. This man went and sat in front of him. Long time he sat. No response. Because he was not seeing him. Finally, he zeroed in on his face. But you must admit that Ganapathy Muni had so much patience that he waited for an hour. And then he opened his eyes and he looked at him. He was not like us, okay? He never spoke much. This is everyday impact going on, blabbering. He didn't speak a word. Generally, he said very little. So he just lifted his hand and did this. That means what? What do you want? So, Ganapathy Shastrigal was waiting for this cue. So he started. Took him 10 minutes probably to describe all that he did. He said, I did this, I did that, I did. Listen without uttering a word. Then he said, but still there is a barrier. I can't break it and see the Supreme. What should I do? It's a classic reply that Maharishi gave. He said, can you shut up for a minute? In Tamil, he said, konja neram chumma irukka mudiyuma. Too much. Can we keep quiet? So that quietness is what we seek. Either through Kriya or through devotion or through any other means, what we seek is that quietness, that mind when it is totally subsided, all the distractions and fluctuations are gone. This is what we seek. And anybody who touches that or has touched it will come back and tell you that it is the storehouse of all the energy of the universe. It is from that quietness that this whole thing comes about and then goes back to it. Some people call it Shunya. Vedantins call it Purna. It doesn't matter. These are terms, difference in terminology. This is what we seek also through Kriya. So to the other question, which means if we practice Kriya, can we not live in this world? Do we have to run away? I live in this world. Should we take sannyas? I am married. should we not have children? I have two. See? So, I can understand that at some point, or should we wear odd clothes? Or can we be normal? In fact, I was planning to come wear shorts and come here, so hot. Then I thought people would be shocked. So I so, I'm saying, this is the aim. Babaji sent me out into this world to say, please make people understand that these are matters of the mind, not of the exteriors. I have great respect for sannyas, but it's a very difficult thing. It's not so easy. And it's difficult to find a true sannyasin. Which sannyasin will go and beg for his food and eat today? How many are there? Difficult. And then when you are in charge of an organization, then you have to do many things. So you have a family, big family. You don't have your small family. So, my idea is to spread the message that you and I, with all our problems and activities and everything, can reform and change our lives and touch that absolute bliss and silence, because it's not something outside, it is in us. And Kriya is one of the ways of doing it, and it is my parampara, my tradition, so I teach Kriya, that's it. And I don't discourage any other movement. Maybe for somebody that is suited, I understand. So, this is what we are going to do. It's 11 o'clock. So, we have 15 minutes more for this session?
Yes.
Yes. Any questions? I know there are many, but
So if you have already put somebody on mantrashastra,
Aye.
yes,
Okay.
would you also recommend Kriya along with that after a period of time? Like,
Let me tell you this. These are all legitimate sadhanas. Mantra sadhana is also a sadhana. It's on the repetition of the mantras. Now, since we are on the subject, mantra is that which uses your mind, mana, as an yantra. This is the mantra, right? Now there are many mantras, different kinds of mantras. There are mantras which describe a deity, like in the Bhagavad, there is a mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva, describing Narayana in his form, with Shankh, Chakra, Gada, Pushpa. There is just Om Tat Sat Om, which is the mantra used for the Supreme Being with no form whatsoever. And each mantra, Om Namah Shivaya. Now, when you say Om Namah Shivaya, you're not talking about of course, generally popularly depicted as Shiva sitting with the snake and crescent moon. Shivam is the supreme reality. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham, Shivoham, said Shankara. So when you said Om Namah Shivaya, it's not merely the deity that you're invoking, but the total supreme reality of the existence of this world, the origin of all existence, and the destruction also. Each one, if initiated into, has a certain effect which changes, transforms your mind and takes it to higher levels. Since we are on the subject, there are also mantras which only consist of sounds. You may not find any meaning in them. They are beejaksharas. Of course, Om is the pranava. Even that, you can give multiple meanings to Om. There are other beejaksharas like Hrim, Krim, Shrim. They don't have a meaning as such, but they depict a certain energy, and they're called beejas because they're like seeds. You drop those seeds, and at some point, provided you water properly, do the proper pruning and so on, a beautiful plant comes up. Flowers, fruits come. These are the beejaksharas. So these are all different levels of mantrashastra. It's a big thing. Mantrashastra is elaborate. Now, if a person attains spiritual fulfillment only through mantrashastra, there is no need of taking anything else, including Kriya. But if somebody feels that Kriya might accelerate the movement of what you are practicing, then one is welcome to take the Kriya.
So would the Guru decide that, or?
First you should think about it for some time and say, this is what I think, and then tell the person, tell the Guru. I'm worried about using that word Guru. A good friend of mine, well, she says she's a disciple, I say friend, who lives in London, Lady Mohini Kent. So I have had several conversations with her. Because when I go for the London Satsangs, I stay with her. To central location. So we had evenings after that, we have some discussions. So one day I realized that she was taping it all. So then she produced a book out of that. And she wanted to call it the Guru. I said, no, we call it the friend. Now available, Penguin has brought it out, called the friend. So I'm a little worried about using that word. So, yeah, you should first deliberate whether you feel that you're progressing. If you feel you need, then you should ask the Guru, in quotes, should I take Kriya or not? And if it is so, you should. But Kriya is free. Now that all of you are here, whether you like it or not, I'm going to give Kriya because many people want to have Kriya. So what can we do about that? But I must tell you this. It all depends on practice. Nairantarya abhyasena, regular practice. And persistence. And sticking to the timing. Very important. If this much you can do, then one can progress. Any other question?
My question is on Swadhyaya. As you mentioned, Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pradhinani. How does one approach Swadhyaya in a way that really serves spiritual growth without it becoming a grasp for knowledge or intellectual pursuit? Because sometimes there's a struggle to be inspired by the scriptures, and then there's a desire to know more and more. And how do we find that balance? Thank you.
Per se, it's not a bad idea to know more and more about the scriptures. Let me say this. But Swadhyaya has two meanings. Swadhyaya in one sense means self-study. Swadhyaya. I have to study myself, not depend on somebody else. Your study can be initiated by somebody, but then it becomes your responsibility. And if you are a spiritual seeker, your Swadhyaya will be on spiritual topics only, of which I can give you a few simple texts which one can read. The Upanishads, principal Upanishads, 11. The Yoga Sutras, the Yoga Pradipika of Swatma Rama, some of the Nathpanthi books like Shiva Samhita, Garanda Samhita, Goraksha Shataka and so on. Complete works of Swami Vivekananda, English. And there is a nice little book which many people don't read in Swadhyaya. It's called Narada Bhakti Sutras. Beautiful. I think that is important to read. Otherwise, everything becomes kind of mechanical. So, this is what I would call now. I told you there are two meanings to it. One is this. The other meaning of Swadhyaya is to know about yourself. Swadhyaya. Now, for that, you don't need books. You need to watch yourself every day. Your life becomes a book. As you move along in life, your life itself, what you do, what you meet, what you talk, becomes a learning for yourself so that you know where you stand. This Swadhyaya is also important. Because if I don't know where I stand, how do I move forward? What am I, where am I in this position at the moment? Don't say I am the Brahman, Atman, no, please. That at the moment we don't know anything of that. Maybe, we don't know. At the moment, where am I? What are my motives? Not an easy exercise, huh? It may sometimes get boring. If it gets too boring and too compulsive, then play tennis or do something for some time. Play golf, whatever you want to do, and come back. The standard thing is neither too much nor too little. This is one of the Yama-niyamas. That don't push too hard and don't give up. I'll tell you, Buddha, Gauthama Buddha, had a disciple called Ananda. He was very close to him. He always followed him. He was also his disciple. His relative. So, Ananda once was thinking of a very serious philosophical problem which he could not solve, theoretically. Ananda was also a great player of the veena. So whenever the Buddha relaxed, he played the veena for him. So this problem affected him so much that he was walking up and down. Even his feet got cut from the rough stones, because Buddha did not live in palaces, right? He left the palace, living in simple places with thorns and bushes and stones. So his legs got cut. So the Buddha was watching this for a long time. Then he called him, said, Ananda, come here. He said, can you play some music for me? He said, yes, sir, I can. Bring your veena. When he started playing and he found that the strings were slack. You can't play music if the strings are slack. The Buddha said, can I tune it for you? He gave him the veena and he started twisting the knobs. After some time, Ananda screamed. He said, don't twist anymore, it's going to snap now. So then he returned it and he said, Ananda, this is the problem. If you want to hear the sound, the pure music, your mind should neither be too taut nor too slack. Then you will get no music out of it. This is important, even in Swadhyaya. I gave you a list so you can start working on them. Yes.
Sir, I wanted to check about meditation, the importance of visualization. Sometimes if you're meditating, you can just see the black and the void. But when you try and visualize, it actually disturbs the meditation, because then you're trying to bring an image which is not coming naturally. So is it okay to meditate even without any image or sound and just be with whatever is the void or black?
May I say something? Different people are made differently. Right? Each person is different. Even though we all say we are human beings, we are the same, but we are different in many ways. So for some, the visual area works very well. For some, it does not. It's not a fault. So there are people who really want to be visual. Their whole mind, their life, everything is visual. For them, meditating on an image or a form or a diagram is good. Because they tend towards it. Which is where, even if you don't have the image of the deity, have you seen the yantras and the mandalas colorfully drawn? The mind gets engaged. Color, form, shape. Difficult to stay without that, mostly. There are another set of people whose minds would love to be free of these forms and like to. For them, one should not force visualization. They cannot visualize. Even when you do Kriya, there is a little bit of visual in it. Some people tell me that I can't visualize this. Can I do without visual? Yes, if you can feel it is enough. You don't have to visualize in detail. But there are people who love to do it in detail. But that also shouldn't go to the extreme. Oh, I say, well, meditate on a white lotus in the heart. So somebody is very good at it, and he says that white lotus, one of the petals is falling down. I said, it's in your hands. You bring it back. So there are different kinds of, there are others who don't want form, who don't have this formless, they like sound. Suppose I love music. Suppose. I do. Do you need any effort when you're listening to music? Do you say, I'm distracted? I don't want... No, if you love music, you don't have to do anything. You're listening to it, right? Naturally. So some people are sound oriented, some are visual oriented, some are like to keep things quiet and calm without any mess. They're all okay. One has to find out what suits one and follow accordingly. The Zen Buddhists, they meditate on a dot in the wall. You put a dot on a plain wall and keep looking at it. So somebody went for Zen meditation the other day and I can't handle this. I said, what happened? He said, what is this? There is a dot on the blank wall and you're supposed to look at it. I said, look at it. He said, no, but it is moving. So it depends. He was really very worked up. I want the dot there, it is going there. I said, relax, let it go where it wants.